So one of the most popular questions that I get almost on a daily basis is, do I need a lawyer to get divorced? And the first answer I usually respond is, of course you do. I'm a lawyer, so of course you need a lawyer. But then usually I get real and I say, no. There are actually plenty of avenues to try to navigate this process on your own. For example, the Florida Supreme Court actually posts a lot of these forms, right on their website, so that you can navigate and figure out which packet of these forms applies directly to your situation. Georgia Supreme Court also posts similar forms, as well as usually each county in Georgia, and there are 159 of them. They also post, several things to help a pro se litigant, which is another word for a person representing himself in divorce, to get actually through this process. But there are some things that you should really look out for. Probably a total of 3 things that you should really look out for. The first is if your spouse gets an attorney. If you get served with something that on the bottom says Richard Boyle Esquire, and that's my name, it might be time to go and talk with an attorney. And, when you talk with an attorney, it doesn't have to be that you're signing and paying right there. Most attorneys offer at least a free consult. I know we do here at the Yaffa Family Law Group. So that's something to certainly look out for. And usually right in that free consult, they'll be able to kind of tell you, hey, this is a process you can probably navigate on their own, or maybe not. An example of something like that, if you did get served, like in Georgia, you have 30 days to respond. In Florida, you got 20. And that's a procedural rule that's, not just super widely available. And sometimes people miss things like that. So it's something to be on the lookout for. So if your spouse gets an attorney, probably a good idea to get one yourself. Second is that if you and your spouse have children and you guys are planning on moving in a farther geographical location after a divorce, like more than an hour away or a different state, it might be time to get a lawyer involved at that point. Trying to craft a parenting plan for a long distance, like in more than an hour or in a different state, can really get complicated with school schedules, extracurricular activities, and other things that you might not think of in the long term because you handle them on a day-to-day basis on your own. But a mistake here could be very costly and expensive to try to fix in the future. So that might be that would be the second time to reach out to an attorney. And the third, there's an old adage, I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, is more money, more problems. And, that's true here as well. If you have a lot of assets, you and your spouse, it's probably a good time to get an attorney involved because you don't want to make a mistake. The more money, the more assets you guys have, the more opportunity to make a mistake that could affect the rest of your lives. Divorce is not meant to be an end. Divorce is meant to be a new beginning, a fresh start on life for both you and your spouse. So you guys can kind of, start fresh on your journey and move forward. You don't want to have to go back and fix a mistake you might have made during the actual divorce process, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from then. And that's really where an attorney would come in and help guide you through that process. I'd love to answer more questions about this. My phone number is 561-276-3880, and you can also reach me at the YaffaFamilyLawGroup.com or YaffaFamilyLawGroup.com. Thanks, guys, and you have a wonderful day.